So what better way to introduce a new company than to introduce the founder? So let me tell you a little bit about the founder. The founder was born in the Philadelphia suburbs and went to school out in LA at the University of Southern California studying electrical engineering, fight on, before landing a first job as a nanotechnology analyst in one of those three-letter federal agencies. From there, the founder went through several roles in both large and small companies, transitioning from nanotechnology analyst to running product strategy organizations and bringing new products to market, before finally settling in Austin, Texas, and starting this company, Career.Place. That's great. But really, who is the founder? Well, founder is a Star Wars enthusiast and a stamp collector, and generally passionate about all things science fiction, fantasy, history, and science. Our founder is married with 2 children. So let me ask you something. Who's our founder? Who is the electrical engineer, the nanotechnology analyst, the product strategist, the CEO? Well, it's me. Did you guess right? Because let me tell you something, a lot of people do not guess right and are quite surprised when they see me walking in the room. Whether it's being the nanotechnology expert, as I started my career, or the product strategist launching new software, or the CEO of a startup. And it has a profound effect when I walk into the room, whether it's giving a presentation or interviewing for a job, because what they see is not what they expect. And it's a common problem. So let's look at it again. Who here is the engineer? Who's the teacher, the sales rep, the accountant, the electrician? Did you have a guess? Does your eye wander to a certain person on the screen? Or perhaps maybe you're looking at this group going, here's what I think the electrician would look like, so I'm going to guess someone else because I know she's making a point about bias and I'm not biased. And that's fantastic, except it's still bias because you're still being persuaded by your past experiences, knowledge, and those trigger points that's getting you to look at that specific person on the screen, that's the electrician or the sales rep. And that's okay, because to be biased is to be human. We are programmed that way. It is our survival technique to have these shortcuts programmed in so we know when it's time to run and when it's time to play. Because if we can't get it right quickly, we could be in some serious trouble. But when those shortcuts are applied to hiring, then we can get ourselves into some serious trouble. And we can hire the wrong people. And hiring wrong is expensive. It's very, very expensive. Just doing some simple math, bad hires cost between 50% and 200% of annual salary of the person that you're hiring. Considering 40% of hires don't last a year, the average salary in the US is $40,000, and we hire 60 million people in the US every year. That's not just a big problem. That is a $400 billion problem. On a more personal level, for a company with about 1,000 employees, that can be about a $1.6 million problem a year. And that's actually fairly cheap compared to the collateral damage that bad hires cause. Because when you hire wrong, You risk legal action, either by those who were not selected or by that bad hire on their way out. You risk brand tarnish, because you better believe those bad hires are posting on Glassdoor and their social media. And you risk losing good people. How many of us have been in that situation where we love our jobs, we love what we do, we love our company until that one person is brought onto the team and they are so bad that you cannot stand them, that you start hating going to work every day. And what is your conclusion? I need to find a new job. We lose great people because of bad hires. So this is a very expensive problem. So going back to our cast of characters, imagine you were making your hire, but without bias, where we no longer see who it is we're talking to. We no longer see who we are judging. Now, tell me who the teacher is, or the electrician, or the engineer. Well, we can't use those pictures anymore, so we're going to have to come up with another way. We're going to have to reinvent the hiring process. So think about existing solutions. Almost all solutions out there in hiring start in the exact same place. They start with the resume. That all too common, loved, hated document that is full of biasing information. And because we start with that resume, we know who our candidates are. We see their pictures. We can look them up. We know their gender. We know their ethnicity. We know their age. All biasing. That document is another problem. We use it as a crutch. So every hiring manager out there, how many of you have started an interview with, walk me through your resume. Tell me what you did at company X. How did you handle problem Y in this job? We end up in this cadence of tell me about what you've done, rather than evaluating what candidates are capable of. And we do it in a way that's inconsistent because we use that crutch. So as hiring managers, we search for the questions on the resume, and we get asked different questions every time we talk to a candidate. How are we supposed to compare when we're not asking the same questions? So we reinvented hiring. And with Career.Place, we don't start with the resume. We don't even use them. We start with the job. Define what success is for the job. What do you need in a candidate? Don't, I know it when I'll see it from the resume, but define exactly what you need for the job. And because we don't use a resume, we can keep all the candidates anonymous, focusing on the needs of the job, not what the trigger points are of what that individual should look like. Without that as a crutch, we can move from telling to showing. To engage with candidates and asking them the questions that will allow them to show off what they're really capable of, what they're going to bring to your company, to your team, to your position. And doing it consistently. Same questions, in the same order, the same way, to every candidate, so they all have the same experience and they are treated and evaluated fairly, apples to apples. So what does this look like? Starting with the candidate source, for wherever you get the candidates, you bring them through our anonymous evaluation process. And out the other side, you get highly qualified candidates that are worth your time to bring in, to ask follow-up questions, to do the due diligence. Let's look a little closer. It's a three-step process. Step number one is all about the basics, the basic qualifications. These are the things the candidates must have, must be willing to do, must know without training. It could be anything from a driver's license to knowledge in Java or Salesforce.com to the ability to work nights and weekends. And the system asks, yes or no, can you do this? Do you know that? And it takes the applicant about 30 seconds, maybe a minute to go through. Because we're focusing on what's required for the job and not all of the other stuff. There is only one exception. We do not ask applicants about the soft traits. Because humans, while we're very, very good at being biased and taking those shortcuts, we're very, very bad at self-evaluating when it comes to soft skills. I don't know about you, but in all my years as a hiring manager, I've never once had a candidate say, you know, I'm not very good at communicating. I'm not at all reliable. I hate teams, and I don't go get anything. We're always going to answer yes to soft skill questions. We're programmed to do so. So Career.Place doesn't ask. It measures. We use assessments. And they're integrated right in. For those that pass through the qualify stage, the next stage is demonstrate. Show me what you're capable of. Let those candidates showcase their skills, abilities, problem solving, and that they're going to be a good fit for this job. So for example, if you're looking to hire an accountant, why not send them a spreadsheet of data, of revenue data, and say, tell me what my taxes are in Texas, in California, what my federal taxes are, because they need to be able to do that for this job. Wouldn't it be better to see that they can rather than to just ask that they've done it before? After demonstrate, show that you're a good fit. Showcase that you're going to fit in the culture, in the team, that you've got the personality that's going to mesh with your group. And going through all three stages, you end up with highly qualified candidates. Before you even know their name, before biases can take effect. And so now, when you reveal who they are and you see their backgrounds, you know that they are worth your time to go through the due diligence, to bring in, to talk to, because they are highly qualified. So back to the question, who's the qualified candidate for your job? That engineer, that sales rep, that accountant. Because now you'll be able to answer the question before you see who they are. So that is Career.Place. And what I'd like to do is show you just a little taste of what it is. And then I'll open the floor to questions and show you anything you'd like to see, either in the corporate side, or I can bring you over to the applicant side. But first, let's start with what employers will see. And we're going to start in the dashboard, where you see all of the jobs that you have posted that are being open for evaluation. And right away, you're going to see the pipeline for your candidates. How they're flowing through each step. How many are passing from step to step. Click in to get more information. In any given step, and this is our demonstrate, we call it homework. What you can see is how your team is engaging with them. Your hiring manager, your recruiter, your subject matter experts, what they think. You can review the results. You can review what they've submitted. If they fit what you need, you can move them on to the next step. If they don't, stop. Because they're not going to fit. You don't need to spend any more time. What you do not see is their names. You do not see their age. You do not see their gender. You do not see their ethnicity. They are anonymous. So you're focusing on the needs of the job. The same thing with the interview stage. The show me stage. Are they a cultural fit? Until they end up in reveal. And this is where you decide, is this the candidate for me? You can review everything they've submitted. You can look at what your team thinks before finally deciding, am I going to unlock them and see who they are or not? And when you do, like we've done with Miguel here, now you see everything about him. His name, his contact information, his social media sites, everything he submitted, homework, interview, questions he's answered. He's even added some things that he's chosen to share with the employers, including his resume, because poor Miguel is still programmed to think resumes are required in the process, even though we now know that they're not. But they're all here. Take it further, you can chat with Miguel. Schedule time to follow up with him, ask some clarifying questions. Now you're interacting with him and you know it's worth your time to do the due diligence with Miguel because he is qualified to your standards for this position. Now I'm going to stop here. And if you have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them, to show you anything in the product, both the corporate side or the applicant side. Or if you would prefer a more formal tour, personal experience, I'm happy to also set up a demo with you at a later time.